I like Tears of the Kingdom. I like it so much that I spent countless hours attempting to beat the game without a shield and without taking any damage throughout the whole game. By the way, I actually did that, and you can watch it on our YouTube channel right now. After reaching that goal, I figured there was only one thing left to do, and that was to take on one of every single boss in the game, without a shield and without taking any damage. Having spent well over 48 hours attempting the all bosses version and having successfully individually beat each of the 39 bosses without taking damage, I can say that I am fairly well versed in their movesets. Although, if you want to know if I will ever actually beat that challenge, you should catch our streams every day on YouTube, Twitch, and TikTok. With my knowledge of each of these fights, their respective stories and movesets, as well as how much fun I have in fighting them, I chose to rank all of them in this very elaborate and unnecessarily long video. I will say, the absolute worst boss in the game is hidden in the video somewhere, because I want you to take your time to guess what boss it is. Let me know in the comments where each of these bosses rank for you, and also, of course, spoilers for The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Number 38. Coming in at number 38 is probably the most obnoxious boss fight to do on my all bosses run. I have a rule of no sages, and considering that this boss requires that a sage be active, I found that distance was my best approach to avoid damage, and avoid my sage attacking the boss. Sludge-like is quite close to being the worst boss fight. The only way that I have successfully fought this slimy mess of a boss is by splashing it with choo-choo jelly or splash fruits, burning it with fire fruit, and hopefully hitting the weak point within before it slithers away underground to regenerate its sludge coating. The amount of time that the ball is out of the like before going back in is mere seconds, and if you miss your one shot with your bow, you have to wait to burn the like again, just to aim for the wriggling ball once more. If I dealt more damage at this point in my run, it might be better, but at its current placing, it just isn't. Number 37. The Red Hinox is not a bad boss. It's just severely underwhelming. There isn't much danger in taking it on, with it only having a small set of moves, and with me dealing so much damage at this point in the run, it's almost a joke fight. It is fun to watch it get vaporized though. Number 36. Similar to the Red Hinox, the Blue Hinox brings almost nothing against me at this point in the run. There isn't anything fancy that I do during the fight, it's simply a use powerful item and get rid of him as soon as possible to move on to the next fight. Number 35. The Frost Talus is this low on the list because I hate dealing with it, especially early on during my all bosses run. There is an Octorok that spawns somewhere nearby and I still don't know where. I have to have level 2 cold resistance for the Frost Talus that I chose since it's close to the Molduga, and the rock is on the back of the talus, making it just significantly harder to hit. I found an easy way to deal with this fight later on, but it still bugs me to this day. Number 34. Moragia is the last boss in my no damage run, and I know what you're gonna say. You're using a sage to fight it. Well, yes, there are minor exceptions to certain rules to avoid glitching the game, which I find worse. Yes, I use a sage, but it's only because there isn't another option, and it is a boss. I just hate gimmick bosses. Number 33. The Frox is an interesting boss. It definitely made the depths more enticing until I realized how annoying it is to hit this thing in the eye without using the key size. It's too easy though. It's just a part of the run. It's not good or bad. Number 32. We are moving into the quote-unquote normal bosses. The Black Hinox isn't difficult and would honestly be lower on the list if the others below it weren't worse. It just exists. I forget this boss is a thing. Number 31. Master Koga Phase 3, the Water Phase. Phase 3 has been the cause of several runs taking more hits than necessary. Swimming out into the water puts you at such a disadvantage against the Yiga clan members on Master Koga's vehicle. After I realized I could stand on the ground with a Gerudo bow that allows you to zoom in and key size and key swings, this fight got a lot easier, but due to the earlier runs, I do hate it quite a bit. Number 30. The Flux Construct 1. I honestly don't enjoy this fight anymore, but only because it's the first boss fight that I do in my all bosses run, and it's before I have decent weapons, and it's 45 minutes in, and it's a whole hour plus before the second boss. I just have to do it to have early access to more Zonai charges for extra wings early game. If I didn't have to do that, then I'd probably put it after some of the later bosses. Number 29. Master Koga, Phase 1, the driving vehicles. Master Koga number 1 is a fight that bugs me simply because of how out of the way he is from everything else in my run. I still haven't decided if I want to push it to be earlier, such as when I'm exploring the depths to unlock some light routes for easy transportation. But he is honestly such an easy fight. Just move fast and don't get hit by the vehicle and hit Master Koga really hard. There isn't much to this fight. Number 28. Obsidian Frox is so out of the way, just based on where it is located. It's not much harder than the regular Frox. I just simply don't want to use my stronger weapons on it earlier, just in case they break before I get to fights, such as the King Gleeok. Number 27. Master Koga Phase 2, the flying phase. Master Koga Phase 2 is where things start getting more fun as far as boss fights go. My first ever playthrough, I wasn't happy with this fight and it seemed rather impossible to do it without getting hit, but when I realized I could ascend into the roof behind me at the start and use bullet time to take out Master Koga really fast, this fight got significantly easier and significantly more fun. Number 26. The Stone Talus is such a fun fight because this is just a funny fight to watch. By this point in the run, I've basically run out of my stronger weapons, minus what I use on the Stone Talus, and it's funny to watch its health drain so fast. Number 25. In fact, basically all of the Taluses are right around here because they are so much fun to fight. Throwing their arm, rewind time. This one is just a bit better because I can use water or ice to make the fight faster. And fighting it gives me some extra rubies, which really helps out on other bosses. Number 24. The only reason that Rare Stone Talus is here is because it drops all 4 gem types plus possible diamonds, and the heart does more damage than other Talus hearts. Number 23. Luminous Talus. How could this one be better than the Rare Stone Talus? It glows in the dark. That's literally it. There's nothing else to this fight. It just glows. Number 22. Muckdrock is a fun fight when done quickly, but it can very easily and very quickly turn into a nightmare if you miss more than one shot with a choo-choo jelly. Water to remove the sludge, key size to knock it out of the sky. The hardest part is when it decides to do a wave of sludge. If you don't hit the wave just right with the water, then the run is done. Number 21. The Flux Construct 3 that I chose is in the middle of the depths and it is very dark. It makes the fight rather difficult, but I think that makes it more intriguing. The constructs are just slightly faster than one another, so it's not a crazy set of moves, but it can go wrong rather quickly. Number 20. The Blue-White Frox can one-shot me on these runs, and it's rather annoying, but it plays out rather similar to the other Frox fights. There's not much more interesting to this fight. Number 19. The Molduga is such an interesting fight. If I misstep, then I'm screwed. It can't see me unless I'm moving, so I have about one chance to unleash enough gems and dragon spines into the Molduga on its first jump to guarantee my safety. Number 18. I love the Stalnox fight, and the only reason that this fight isn't further up on this list is because you can't use Dazzle Fruit to delete this boss like you can against every other stall enemy, which I find to be annoying. You can't even use Dazzle Fruit to instantly vaporize the eye of the Stalnox, and I just found that sad. I still love the fight though. Number 17. I'll be honest, this is the only fight that I got ideas on how to fight because of watching someone else's speedrun. And I wish I knew whose run it was to give them credit, but throwing the fire while it's using its shield, using the Lizalfos tail to knock it into the railing, it's such a unique fight, it can easily one-shot me at this point in the run, so there is no room for mistake. But the Seized Construct is such a unique fight and I love it. Number 16. The Battle Talus is here because A, it's super easy, and B, it's super cute to see the bokoblins on its back. That's it. Number 15. Master Koga Phase 4, the Mech. Master Koga Phase 4 is such a unique fight, with him using a mech warrior suit, shooting lasers, using explosive balls. It could be better, but it's at least a fun one to deal with, and definitely the best of Master Koga's fights. Number 14. The Frost Gleeok. When I started the all bosses run, I chose to take on the one next to the giant sword in the mountain, and I hadn't considered that I would need a level 2 cold resistance. So a lot of the fight consisted of not enough cover, only being able to use fire weapons that don't deal enough damage just to keep warm, and it just didn't end well. When I changed to a Frost Gleeok that only required a level 1 cold resistance, it opened up a lot more damage output for me, so it was definitely the better option. Number 13. Wow. This game was absolutely amazing. The great antagonist introduction was immaculate. Ganondorf Phase 1 was one of the best fights in the game, and everything else later on this list just happens to be better. His ability to remove entire hearts from Link is intense, compared to Gloom in the overworld. His attacks are fast, but well displayed, so you can get a good idea of how to defend yourself on future hits. It's such a wonderful fight with many options to fight back. Damageless is tough, but fast if done right. Number 12. First off, the Gleeoks in general are amazing. They are only outdone by a few, but those few make perfect sense. The Flame Gleeok was a tough one to figure out. Do I go for the one in the sky near the Zora domain, or the one near the Gerudo Desert? I eventually chose the one in the desert, but the struggle then was making sure it was daytime so that I didn't simultaneously freeze or burn. When he's awake, you need heat resistance, but in the Gerudo Desert at night, you need cold resistance. And when the Flame Gleeok is temporarily knocked out, it stops producing its overbearing heat, meaning you have to consume cold resistance once again. Having a rule like no armor and no shield made me really have to think through these kinds of struggles. Number 11. Why is Flux Construct 2 here on the list? It's not harder than Flux Construct 3, so why? Because it's fun to vaporize it before I touch the ground and collect more materials for more wings and fans. That's why. That's the only reason. We are finally in the top 10 bosses. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss more videos like this. And my wife and I are moving in 4 months, so if you want to help us save up for the move, you can donate in the first link of the pinned comment. Number 10. Puppet Zelda, Phantom Ganon. The first playthrough I did where you get to experience tracking down the strange Zelda and fight wave after wave of Ganondorf's forces was cool in Hyrule Castle. And then to have her transform into not one, but 5 separate Phantom Ganons was such a memorable moment. Doing the boss rush where you fight the 5 below the castle without the sages is intense to say the least, especially with it being the 10th wave of the boss rush. Finishing this fight and getting a small breath before the endgame is something you'd have to experience firsthand to understand completely. Number 9. The Thunder Gleeok at the Colosseum is intimidating. Comparing it to the Lionel that was there previously in Breath of the Wild, it just really goes to show you how epic this game is. Fighting the Lightning Sky Beast is something else. Every moment that the beauty is awake threatens any nearby who are wielding metal weapons with being struck by lightning. Luckily, I came up with a strategy that easily does away with this struggle. Drop down, bullet time, hit it with key size, run up, hit him a few times, run backwards before he gets back up, and ascend through to the second floor to repeat those steps. It's technically the method I use in fighting the 3 elemental Gleeoks, and it works magically, but this is my favorite setting for the Gleeok fights. Number 8. I will never forget first laying my eyes on Marbled Goma and thinking, wow, that looks like Goma, only to realize that it was a variation on Goma from Ocarina of Time. This fight is a special one. My first playthrough, I didn't understand my tools that well, so I struggled a bit here and there, but in the boss rush and no sage for answers, and learning I could reverse time on the boulders and ascend through the knocked down Goma to fight it that way, magical, wonderful fight in my opinion. Number 7. There is no better fight, musically speaking, than this one right here. Colgera is such a wonderful boss fight that has its little gimmick, but so long as you take your time to learn how it fights, it's relatively easy. And we cannot miss how epic it is to dive through the crystals that make up its centipede-like body. The fight reminds me so much of the fight in Wind Waker for the Rito, the music of the Rito village of Wind Waker, and the boss that is very reminiscent of that from Wind Waker. It's just remarkable. Number 6. I wish this was higher on the list. This fight is the most horrifying in Zelda history. Gloomspawn on their own are absolutely game-changing, and knowing that defeating them spawns Phantom Ganon, the first time seeing that health bar show up after defeating the hands is insane. Not to mention, beating him in the Deku Tree starts the hunt for the Master Sword. Absolutely brilliant. I guess it's time to go into the honorable mention of this video. I wish this was actually a boss because the Lionel Coliseum would have been number 2 on my list if it were. The Lionels are such a special moment. Fighting 5 of them back to back, each getting harder than the last, that's wild. Number 5. There's only one thing to say, health bar. You know what I'm talking about when I say that. Ganondorf Phase 2 made many of us question what we were looking at on our first playthrough. Yes, he is overpowered, but did the game break? Why is his health bar continuing past his name? Why is it still going? Maybe stop? It's a perfect way to show this boss actually just powered up. Number 4. The awe of flying high above Hyrule on the back of a dragon. But not just any dragon, but the light dragon. Diving past flaming balls of permanent gloom and piercing the blade of Evil's Bane into the crystal on the demon dragon's head, and then diving to catch the princess to protect her neck when landing in the water below. I literally cried my first playthrough. This fight was immaculate. There's no other words to describe it. Number 3. My first time fighting Gibdo Queen was intense. Utilizing each of the sage's abilities and trying to avoid a room full of constantly respawning Gibdo, I thought doing this fight hitless would be impossible. But now it's such an easy fight so long as you are stocked up. Electric key size brings her down, bombs to deal a bunch of damage, ice to stop her wind attacks, Gibdo bones to smack her in the face while she's down. Yes, I very much see the irony in that. Bombs to destroy the mushroom towers while they are open and glowing, dazzle fruit to mass delay and destroy the crawling Gibdo. It's an intense game of don't slip up, and it is practically my favorite fight in the entire game and series. Number 2. I truly believed this fight might be impossible to do without a shield and without taking damage, but how quickly my mind changed when I realized I just needed to speed up. The King Gleeok is horrifying. Ice, fire, electricity, 3 elements against someone with no protection against any of it, in the dark with nowhere to ascend to. But wait, from behind this building on the right, the King Gleeok can aggro momentarily, but for some reason won't go behind the building. With the right bow, in this case a 32 damage triple shot Lionel bow from the stone covered silver Lionel in the Coliseum, key size, a 30-minute triple damage up food, and a little bit of patience, all I had to do was shoot the arrows to the side around the corner of the wall, wait for the impact and to hear the King Gleeok fall, run up, hit it a few times, and run back. I found that if I did this a few times and quick enough, he would never have the chance to fly up high and hit me with his fire, ice, and lightning storm that previously had instilled so much fear in me that I hesitated to continue attempting this run entirely. Overall, it only barely beats out the Queen Gibdo, and both only barely don't make it to number 1. The greatest challenge in the entirety of Tears of the Kingdom was surprisingly the final phase of Ganondorf, and I'm sure you understand exactly why. They designed this fight so well, from phase 1 showing you his strength, phase 2 showing you his health and endurance, all the way to phase 3 that somehow stumps the other 2. His magic increases tenfold, and not only that, he successfully flurry rushes the hero of the wild multiple times. You can't just flurry rush him. The idea that the final major boss of the game uses the same moves as the hero, but only as a last resort to show you how absolutely terrifying he is, chef's kiss. Chef's makeout, really. This boss made victory of my no damage run be both the hardest to obtain and the true happiness I feel in overcoming this boss. I cannot explain it. No boss has made me feel this level of respect before. But streamer, you forgot the worst boss in the game. Why yes, I did, but only because I simultaneously believe it is the worst boss in the game and the absolute best. The secret worst boss and surprise best boss is Yunobo. I despise him. He was given such a dumb story. He annoys me to no end, and for some reason he's given a wrestling mask. Not only that, it doesn't matter how much damage output you have, he will always take 3 full phases to beat. You have to hit him 3 times. His boss design is the epitome of gimmick fight. But streamer, why is he the best boss in the game? Tell me, when was the last time you had a game give you an annoying side character as an ally and let you literally smack the shit out of him. Yeah, Pokemon is different. In this game, you can take whatever stick you want to slap him with. It's wonderful. I still wish it was Daruk who had survived the Great Calamity, though. Wow, you've made it to the end. Hit subscribe, catch us live daily, and comment your favorite bosses, and watch the world's first no shield, no damage run of Tears of the Kingdom right here on screen. See you later!
And with that, the run is technically done. Congratulations, everybody. And